Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Philip, and I'm actually coming to you today because, well, this morning, American Express decided to change the game once again. So now this is actually kind of an interesting headline in that there's not a lot of solid information there, but we can kind of read into what they're focusing on in this press release and kind of figure out where Amex heads at, right? So before we get into that, I want to go ahead and ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube know that what I'm doing is helpful for you guys, and it also helps more people to see it. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this. So American Express announced this morning, or released basically a press release essentially announcing that there will be changes announced this fall to the Platinum card and the Business Platinum card. And so you can see here that there's not a whole lot of differences between the two other than the word business is on this one, and then your business name is also on it. So you just have these two cards that look pretty similar and look very similar to how they have in total, right? The design is nearly identical to the gold card or the business gold card, right? It's very classic, very, professional, right? American Express has announced that they're planning on changing not only how their cards, how much their cards cost, how much benefits their cards bring, but also how their cards look. And so we can expect kind of a new look in addition to this refresh. Now, let's take a look at cost first. So I know that's probably the question that everyone's kind of considering and worried about. So let's take a look here at the cost. Now, the original, so Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is in between announcements, right? Chase confirmed something yesterday and they're supposed to announce something on Tuesday. However, kind of where we're at is that did have an annual fee of $550, and it's going to have an annual fee of $795. Now, let's take a look at that history and then take a look at American Express. Now, American Express did have an annual fee of $550, and it increased to $695 in 2021. And so 2021 was a number of years ago, and so it's past due, as a lot of people have liked to say. So it went from $550 to $695. Now, recently, so it hasn't actually officially happened as of the recording of this video, Chase announced that they were going to increase their annual fee to $795 and then have a $195 annual fee for any authorized users. And so essentially, basically this, if we can expect that, kind of Amex leapfrogged over Chase on the last go around, now that Chase has published their data point, American Express, it's safe to assume, will be north of that $795 because, well, they targeted being significantly higher than the Chase Sapphire Reserve when they refreshed the card last time. And so that's kind of an important understanding because basically, essentially, some people are kind of ticking around like, will it be north of $1,000? I think it will be, a decent amount higher than that $795 that Chase is targeting because American Express wants to be seen as having the most expensive cards, or at least the most premium, right? So let's take a look at some of the other announcements here on this press release. So basically, the quote here is that, essentially they are trying to take these cards to the next level. And so obviously the next level of price and the next level of benefits. So let's take a look at the places that they actually talk about. So they talk about three huge things that are part of, well, actually four huge things that are part of these experiences that they're really focusing on. And they actually view these four experiences as being something that's driving the most of Gen Z and millennials as into American Express. And so let's take a look at the first one. The first one's lounge access. So first of all, the fact that that's the first one that they talk about shows you that the Platinum card will not be, at least it doesn't appear to be from my reading of this information, a card that reduces lounge access, right? So there has been some talk of American Express kind of reducing lounge access or de-emphasizing lounge access from the Platinum card and then re-emphasizing it on maybe a higher card that's between the Platinum and the and the Centurion card level, right? And there is a little bit of wiggle room between the $695 and what the $20,000 annual fee of the Centurion card. So, but the fact that they're labeling that as the first thing that they're featuring of the Business Platinum and the Platinum card kind of shows to me that they're really going to feature lounge access is going to be synonymous with the Centurion, or not the Centurion card, the Platinum card going forward. And so I think that's kind of can be expected. Now they did announce, and they've already announced these, right? So they're reminding everyone that they have 3 lounges opening this year globally. So one in Newark, one in Salt Lake City, and one in Tokyo. And so that is going to bring the total amount of American Centurion lounges to 32 across the globe. And so they're definitely a lot stronger in lounges when it comes to in the United States. The one in Heathrow is pretty nice. They have them kind of sporadically spread around. But that could always go up. So it's glad to see that Tokyo one is coming in. Now, the second thing that they talk about is going to be the Resi platform. And so the Resi platform is actually pretty interesting, and it's enhanced by my American Express Platinum card. So the American Express Platinum card, American Express Business Platinum, and the American Express Hilton Aspire card, it might be for the Brilliant as well. I don't have that card, so I can't tell you, has access to something called the Global Dining Access Program through Resi. So for those of us who know that Resi is kind of like essentially it's a place. It's a way that you can book reservations on website or restaurants, right? And so, however, they also feature their recent acquisition of Talk, which is another reservation system, where and they're actually targeting the fact that it's 7,000 restaurants, wineries, and venues to the platform. So essentially, Resi will be. You can definitely read into this to say that Resi will be expanded to include other types of reservations, including experiences and like wineries and things like that, which is really interesting because that's one thing that Ask Sebi actually mentioned. He kind of expected there to be kind of a lifestyle app that would go along with kind of this, and that would, the experiences, the lounge access, Resi would all kind of be looped into that. And so it seems to be where this suggestion is heading. Now, Resi, for those of you, some of you really, really like it, some of you really, really don't like it, right? Resi Basic is just essentially open table. However, this Resi Global Dining Access actually has special access to certain experiences, and it also gives you interesting access to features that can help you find that reservation. So the Global Dining Access feature allows you to say set a reminder. So if say a restaurant is booked out on the date or the time that you want to, you can actually set a reminder or basically essentially an alert whenever someone cancels a reservation in the time window that you specified. You get a push alert from the Resi app, and then you can click on it and make that reservation. Now, it's safe to say that push alert's also going out to anyone else who has alert set for that date and time. But if you manage to beat those people, you can get pretty good reservations, and I have. Another thing that's interesting is that on Resi, there is something part of the Global Dining Access program. There's a special French-inspired kind of tea service at the Ritz-Carlton in Georgetown, that's Washington, D.C., and I was actually able to book that, and I'm going to have that for my wife's birthday coming up next month. And so this access, this expanded access to specific features and specific venues and specific events is available because I have the Platinum card, the Business Platinum, the Aspire card, right? And so because I have access to that, I have access to those events. And that's kind of important because it's really interesting that that's kind of what they're expanding this into, because they're specifically calling out venues. They're specifically calling out wineries. So Resi, it seems by my read of this, can be greatly increased as they merge Talk into this new system and, kind of figure out how that's supposed to look. Now, the third thing they mention is the Fine Hotels and Resorts program. Now, the Fine Hotels and Resorts program is the top tier of American Express's hotel booking portal, right? So that's only available if you have a Platinum card. Now, you also have the Hotel Collection, which you can book with the Platinum, but it's also available with the American Express Gold card. Now, the thing about this is I recently went to the Conrad in Fort Lauderdale with the Fine Hotels and Resorts, and essentially, basically, you are taking a look at, you're getting upgrades, you're getting room upgrades, you're getting guaranteed late checkout. They actually call out that they're the only program that guarantees 4 p.m. late checkout across thousands of properties. And they also advertise that you get an experience credit at the hotel, early check-in when possible, and a bunch of other fun, including free breakfast for 2. And so they're definitely focusing up on bolstering the fine hotels and resorts. And so that's another part of that experience thing. Now, the next thing they talk about here is they are looking into expanding access to special experiences through through the American Express holding the Platinum card. So my wife and I, really big tennis fans. We looked into trying to get into the US Open this year, and American Express, because I held the Platinum card, first of all gave me enhanced access to a suite ticket. So you could actually buy tickets at suites for specific games, and that would access to free food, the whole 9 yards. Now, I didn't actually ever go through to see how expensive those tickets were. I'd imagine it's a sliding scale based on which game you're trying to visit. But that is a specific experience. Now, there's also a specific experiences about, specific lounges at, say, the Olympics. There was an American Express lounge. There was also, one at a couple of racing events, one in Las Vegas and things like that. They also have a lounge at some other golfing events and things like that. And so having the American Express Platinum card can help kind of drive an enhanced experience across lifestyle areas, right? So if you're interested in going and doing things, the Platinum card could quickly become the thing you do for that. And so that's kind of interesting. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, so that's all of the 4 things that they specifically called out in their press release. Now, one thing we also want to talk about too is multipliers. Now, the American Express Platinum card is not very strong when it comes to those multipliers. You get 5 points per dollar on any airfare purchase, 5 points per dollar on airfare purchased through the portal as well, and then 5 points per dollar on prepaid hotel bookings booked through the portal. That includes Hotel Collection and Fine Hotels and Resorts. Now, this is interesting in that it really kind of essentially only gets 1 point per dollar on everything else. Now, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the current rumored thing is that it has 3 points per dollar on dining purchases. However, with American Express, if you want to have those dining purchases, you have to also hold the gold card, and that also comes with an additional $325 annual fee. And so it would be interesting to see if they kind of played around with those, maybe boosted some of those multipliers through the portal, because Chase does 8 points per dollar through the portal. It'd be nice if we saw something similar to that, at least with Fine Hotels and Resorts or something like that. And, it would be nice to see an increased baseline, but I don't really see that happening because so many people actually spend money only on their Platinum card because they're trying to get to the Centurion or they just want a simplicity thing. And so, that's a lot of revenue that if American Express were to do 1.5x on everything or even 2x on everything, they would lose a lot of that interchange revenue that they get from their high flyers. And considering the fact that that's kind of where American Express makes their money, I don't see that changing in any real capacity. So a couple things that they've teased. Definitely expect the annual fee to increase. We don't know how much. Definitely expect the card design to change. That one's going to be interesting to see. I really like the current design. We'll see what happens with that. And then expect them to really focus up on 4 key things: enhancing Resi, enhancing lounge access, enhancing entertainment experiences, and then also enhancing hotel experiences. And so that's going to be one of the key things that they're focusing on in this press release. And so that's one of the things that we need to consider. Now, the thing that I'm sure you're asking is, what does this mean for me, right? So if I currently hold the American Express Platinum card, first of all, they haven't even announced these changes, right? These changes are going to come in the fall sometime, right? Now, with the American Express Gold card, what they did was they made the actual announcement, and then they made the announcement at a certain point, very shortly after where they actually made the changes. But then they gave you 2 or 3 months of possible renewal at the older annual fee rate, right? And so they had a specific date, like I think it was like October or something. And so if you currently hold the American Express Platinum card, it's very likely that your next annual fee renewal will be at the $695, depending on when you got the card. And so that's important to note as well, because we want to kind of figure out, like, when is this changing? What's changing, right? But with the gold card, there was a very real chance that you could actually pay the $250 annual fee, but also get access to all of the enhanced benefits. And so that's going to be important as well. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me on this. I really appreciate you being with me to break this down. Please let me know your comments and your thoughts in the comment section below. And well, I can't wait to see you again. Until next time.